Today, we're talking about one of Britain's most unique and important photographers, a man who basically held up a mirror to his own country for more than half a century, Martin Parr.
And honestly, that one quote, it tells you everything you need to know. It's the secret key to his entire life's work. For Martin Parr, a photograph was never just a picture. It was a way to sneak in a really powerful, often critical observation inside something that looks fun, colorful, and easy to digest.
And the reason we're digging into his incredible legacy today is, of course, the very sad news of his passing. He passed away at the age of 73 at his home in Bristol. This was confirmed by the Martin Parr Foundation, which he himself established.
So, what was it about his work that made it so him? How could you spot one of his photos from a mile away for over 50 years? Let's break down that unique vision.
Okay, so these are pretty much the core ingredients. First, you've got those colors. They're so saturated, almost lurid, kind of like an old postcard that's been left in the sun. It just grabs you. And then you see what he's actually photographing: a village fete, a crowded beach, a shopping center. He found this amazing, often absurd, humor in all these everyday rituals, but always with this sort of sympathetic eye for the little details that just scream British life.
And this gets to the heart of his philosophy. He always saw himself as a documentary photographer, but he wasn't just recording what was there. He was digging for something much deeper. He basically said that truth is subjective, but he was showing the world exactly as he found it. He was using his camera to find these big, universal truths in the most ordinary places imaginable.
So let's see how this all played out in the real world. We'll start with the project that really shot him into the public eye. And yeah, right into a huge storm of controversy back in the mid-1980s. It seems like a pretty simple question, right? All he was doing was taking pictures of working-class families on holiday in a place called New Brighton. So how on earth did that manage to kick off a massive national debate about social class?
Well, this really gets to the heart of it. See, for a lot of people in London and the southeast, the north of England was like another country. They had this vague, distant idea of it. But what Parr showed them was the raw, unfiltered reality. People trying to have a picnic surrounded by piles of litter, families making the best of rundown, scruffy facilities. For many, it was a complete culture shock.
And here's what Parr himself had to say about it. He was totally aware that he wasn't just showing a place, he was exposing a massive cultural blind spot. The backlash wasn't just about the photos, it was about the uncomfortable truth they revealed. He wasn't judging, you see, he was just showing. And for some people, that was the most shocking thing of all.
That sharp, satirical eye he had, it never left him. In fact, in his later years, he turned it toward a much bigger, global issue that he felt was becoming more and more urgent.
This just shows you his photography, that entertainment, always had this serious critique bubbling underneath. This quote is so powerful, and it came from one of his final interviews. His lens was pointed squarely at our modern consumer culture. The same eye that found absurdity on a British beach was now seeing a crisis in our shopping habits.
So as we look back on his life and work, how do you even begin to sum up the impact of such a unique and uncompromising artist?
This timeline really gives you a sense of his incredible career. He bursts onto the scene in the 80s, and from then on, he just never stopped working, never stopped looking, and never stopped commenting, right up to the very end. That's more than 50 years of holding a mirror up to society. Just amazing. And beyond the groundbreaking work, the tributes from people who knew him really paint a picture of the man himself. He's called a giant, but also a hoot. He worked incredibly hard, but was a firm and loyal friend. And my favorite might be this one. He had an infectious enthusiasm for everyday life. He genuinely loved the messy, absurd, beautiful world he was photographing.
And at the end of the day, that was his real gift. He forced us to stop and to really look at all the mundane stuff we usually ignore, to find the humor, the strangeness, and the deep truth in a melting ice cream cone, a packed beach, or a cluttered living room.
And that leaves us with a final thought, really. It's a challenge inspired by his entire life's work. If his whole philosophy was finding the serious inside the entertaining, the big idea inside the playful moment, where can we see that in our own lives today? It's a question Martin Parr spent his life answering with a camera.